Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of NEWS2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, an organization that is committed to preserving places that matter in the territory, as well as the stories and cultural history of Virgin Islanders, has reopened. Although some of the organization's properties have received some damage from Hurricane Maria, they remain positive and are looking forward to serving the community through cultural preservation and educational activities. NEWS2's Stephanie Brown reports.
The Great House at Wynn Museum, operated by the St. Croix Landmark Society, received severe damages from Hurricane Maria.
The entire contents of the Great House got soaked. All of the furniture, all of the antiques got soaked, and there were damages to other buildings.
On top of dealing with structural issues, the museum's grounds were vandalized, adding further detriment to the Virgin Islands artifacts.
The burglars opened every cabinet, every door, every drawer, everything was open. So all the furniture that had previously been wet on the outside now got soaked on the inside.
The museum is currently open, but the St. Croix Landmark Society's library and archives, as well as administrative offices, have relocated temporarily.
And we're at number 20 Prince Street, which is on the corner of Hill and Prince Street in Christiansted. Very accessible parking and everything, and it's been a lifesaver for us.
The Great House is one of St. Croix's most visited historical structures, and it is also host to many of Landmark Society's cultural and education events. Recently, FEMA, DEMA, and the Ridge to Reef Farms lent a hand.
The roof of the Great House has been covered, and I like this thought. The Great House has a new head tie.
It's been nearly 2 months since 2 Category 5 hurricanes impacted the territory. However, the organization is operational and will host Starving Artists Day on November 26.
We're excited to be back in action for the public. We've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes and on our own at the museum, but just excited to be able to be in regular contact with the public again and give them a space, a very sacred space in which they can just take a breath and reconnect with our past and plan for our future.
For NEWS2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Now, FEMA officials say the Heritage Emergency National Task Force, they're hosting another event to encourage the cultural institutions to apply for public assistance. That's at 10 a.m. on St. Croix, Tuesday, November 21st at the St. Croix Landmark Society, Christiansted, and on St. Croix at 10 a.m. Friday at Niski Shopping Center on St. Thomas. In addition to FEMA and SBA specialists are representatives from the Heritage Emergency National Task Force, which is an organization co-sponsored by FEMA and the Smithsonian Institution, will be on hand to discuss additional resources and outline potential grant opportunities for cultural institutions. Now, cultural organizations are urged to submit a request for public assistance with the Virgin Islands Emergency Management Agency before the December 29th deadline. Catherine Maestro, a Democratic senator representing Nevada, inquired with Governor Kenneth Mapp in a Senate hearing in Washington on the need for additional funds other than community disaster loans to provide for a stronger power grid for the territory. The Governor Mapp explained how the Stafford Act prohibits reconstruction efforts in the territory. Here's more from that.
Limits the amount of money that you're getting from the federal government for disaster relief to repair and reconstruct. It is not for new construction or new types of renewable energy or bearing lines. So are you coming today for additional funds outside of the Stafford Act, outside of disaster relief? Is that what I'm hearing today?
Yes, because under Stafford, if a system connected to the power generation isn't damaged, it can't be touched. If it's cost effective, it can be mitigated, but the whole power system is all connected. And so if we want to change to more efficient renewables, wind, solar, if the generation system hasn't been damaged, then we can have an exclusion. So we will need changes in the language to permit that.
The Committee on Health, Hospitals, and Human Services, they're conducting a hearing Mark it on the calendar, Friday, December 8th in the Earl B. Otley Legislative Hall on St. Thomas. That's December 8th, again at 10 a.m. The committee will hear from health-related agencies to discuss their initiatives in the aftermaths of Hurricanes Irma and Maria. Invited testifiers include Ms. Felicia Blyden, who is the Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Department of Human Services, Dr. Michelle Davis, the Virgin Islands Department of Health Commissioner, Ms. Berlina Wallace-Berube, the Territorial Director for Mental Health, Virgin Islands Department of Health, Ms. Wanda Rubin, Chief Executive Officer of the Wanaflui Hospital on St. Croix, and Dr. Bernard Wheatley, CEO of the Schneider Regional Medical Center on St. Thomas. Meanwhile, Ms. Felicia Blyden, Commissioner, reminds residents that Saturday is the last day for residents to apply for DSNAP. Some of the sites have been consolidated, so there are now 3 sites, and here they are. On St. Croix, it's at the DHS Mars Hill offices in Frederickstead. On St. Thomas, it's at Tutu Park Mall. And on St. John, it's at the DHS Multipurpose Center from 7 a.m. until 6 through Friday. However, on Saturday, site times will be from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. DHS said that as of Wednesday, it had processed a total of 15,157 DSNAP applications, with 13,670 receiving benefits, and 1,487 were deemed ineligible. However, applicants experiencing issues with the card or in need of other assistance should call 340-715-4960. DHS has been experiencing some difficulty with connectivity, which has led to other issues such as longer than expected wait times for the cards to reflect benefits. One of the reasons that time was extended to Saturday. Well, here's what you need to know about the DSNAP cards. Access benefits by calling 866-884-2868. Benefits are available for 1 year from the date of issuance. EBT cards can be used at authorized USDA retailers nationwide. DSNAP can only be used to purchase food products and for plant and seeds to grow for households to eat. Here's another update. GERS Administrator Austin Nibbs advises retirees that the annual VI lottery bonus payment normally issued around Thanksgiving will be delayed. Unfortunately, he said this delay is due to the recent hurricanes which impacted the system, as well as they are awaiting receipt of the 4th quarter payment from the lottery. They will let retirees know when the bonus will be paid. Be sure to comment too. We will let you know. He said, "We thank you for your understanding and wish the entire Virgin Islands community a blessed and happy Thanksgiving on behalf of the GERS Board of Trustees, the management, and staff." Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the numbers there. According to the numbers, the Dow up 183, NASDAQ 87, S&P 500 up 21. Coming up on News 2, a sad farewell. A cargo plane takes off with some very important passengers on board. That's coming up next. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A cargo plane filled with dogs and cats are on their way to new homes thanks to behind-the-scenes humanitarian efforts of country music legend Kenny Chesney. Here's more. For this group of puppies, dogs, and cats, this trip is a second chance. The animals were packed and ready to take off on their way to a new life. Preparing for this special trip required the assistance of many.
We had people coming in yesterday morning to walk and wash 49 dogs. So we were at the shelter last night till 7:30, making sure all the paperwork is lined up so everything is in complete order. So, and making the selections were the hardest part because we want them all to go, but we're able to get out 49 dogs and 12 cats, which is wonderful. Our shelter is full again when it was empty right after Hurricane Irma, well, our last evacuation, but strays are coming in every day.
We were able to get some private community dogs out for owners who had been displaced by the storm and hadn't been able to come back to get their dogs, so they're also being able to take advantage of this flight and get their dogs home.
It's my participation in it was to go in and photograph every single animal, check disposition, get information from the staff at the Humane Society on their medical condition, heartworm positive or negative. They got along with other animals, other cats. So basically just making sure we can get the right fit with the adoption process.
Thanks to all the volunteers, but the biggest thanks went to award-winning country legend Kenny Chesney, who lost his home on St. John during the hurricanes. But his biggest concerns included efforts for getting food, water, emergency and medical supplies, pet food, and cleanup equipment to the affected residents. Kenny founded a charity, the Love for Love City Foundation, raising funds to help with long and short-term recovery efforts. Chesney arrived at the Jet Center at the Cyril Lee King Airport in St. Thomas to see the pets off.
Actually, it's a whole lot of work, but we've done it in a very short time. Kenny and Love for Love City, we've been evacuating people, bringing supplies ever since the hurricane. And then once we kind of got some people and some supplies under control, then we started evacuating dogs, random dogs, and people who wanted to be reunited with their dogs. And then we started hearing about there were so many dogs that didn't have homes anymore, or that were found on the streets or found locked in homes. And as we started evacuating more and more dogs, then we decided, you know what, let's just do one big mass evacuation of all the shelters. So that's when I reached out to RIA with the St. Thomas Humane Society, and I had already been in contact with ASA over at Animal Care Center in St. John. We had taken 50 of her animals a couple weeks ago. So then I reached out to VAK's Humane Society, and it just kept growing and kept growing and kept growing. And then we ended up with the cargo plane.
There were some tears and hugs. Many people were on hand to bid the pets a final farewell and ensured a smooth process for the animals.
And we're going to land in West Palm Beach, and Big Dog Rescue in West Palm is helping organize and bringing in vets and vet techs. And then we have Victory Air in Statesville, North Carolina. They donated 2 jets, and they're going to meet us in West Palm, and one jet will be loaded with animals to Statesville, North Carolina, and the other jet will go to Norfolk, Virginia, because we have 17 rescues in the states on the East Coast that are all going to meet us and come and get these animals and give them a great home.
We usually, when we put a call out when we're doing a transport, we are inundated with volunteers. They come to the shelter at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, so this morning was no different. We were very appreciative of everyone who showed up through the rain. I mean, everybody got wet, but they went in and walked dogs, got them organized. It was a great team.
The team thanks all of the volunteers, including the VIPD, the transportation assistants, and more. Well, commenting on the stark reality of the aftermath, Commissioner Carlos Robles, on behalf of the Agriculture and Food Fair Board, they share the factors that led to the decision to cancel the 2018 Agriculture Fair. Here's more.
There were a number of factors that went into making that decision. First and foremost, the safety of the staff there, the safety of the patrons and the vendors who will be coming to the fairgrounds. The 2 main buildings that house the farmers and the farmers market, along with the food section up on the east end, were severely damaged and are in unsafe conditions. And the booths that we normally have that lead up to the bridge, all of those were destroyed. Some of the other booths up where the east stage were damaged. The grounds itself, because of that damage, it's an unsafe facility and will be unsafe when the fair is scheduled to go on during President's Day weekend. Second of all, the consistent rains that have been happening on St. Croix has left the soil so saturated, most farmers, if not all farmers, won't be able to get into plow. Many of our livestock people also suffered losses. The primary reason for the agricultural fair, which is the farmers, they won't be able to participate. As of President's Day 2018, AgriFest is canceled.
We'll turn into some other news. Every year on the 3rd Thursday of November, smokers across the nation take part in the American Cancer Society's Great American Smokeout event. The Department of Health here in St. Thomas shares local support for the event as well.
In recognition of the National Smoke-Free Campaign, the Department of Health also wants to encourage and remind individuals in the territory that the U.S. Virgin Islands also has a smoke-free law, and that law prohibits individuals from smoking in any enclosed or open public areas, and that includes bars, restaurants, the beach, parks, bus stops. Anywhere that's public is prohibited to smoke. And so we encourage you and we ask you to be mindful and respectful of individuals in the community and not to smoke in the public areas. And actually, you are not to smoke 20 feet from any opening of any establishment. Yes, and in addition to being mindful of the Clean Air Act, we also want you to be mindful of the individuals that may be around you if or when you do smoke. Children especially have no choice of their surroundings, and so we ask that you don't smoke around them, refrain from doing so, especially that secondhand smoking has many effects. Those effects can include gum disease, asthma, which affects your respiratory system, of course, even if you don't have asthma, and as well as various cancers and other issues that we might not even be aware of, but that have long-term effects. And so, again, we appreciate your assistance with abiding to the smoke-free law and look forward to a clean and safe environment.
Great message. Thanks for that, Nicole. Well, FEMA officials say due to a technical issue with the program's email the past week, they're asking anyone who may have sent an email expressing some interest in the program to resend the message to the following email at FEMA-USVI-MLR@FEMA.dhs.gov. You'll see that shortly up there. And that's to help disaster survivors find a safe and secure temporary place to live. FEMA's Multifamily Lease and Repair MLR program is calling on owners of multifamily dwellings that are in need of repairs. The program provides funds to make rental units habitable again, and at the same time helps survivors of Hurricanes Irma and Maria. To qualify for the program, the dwelling must have 3 or more units available for FEMA's use, and it must have been previously used as a rental property. Other criteria also applies. The needed repairs or improvements do not have to be hurricane or flood related. Property owners interested in having their rental property considered, again, should contact the Multifamily Lease and Repair Program by email again at FEMA-USVI-MLR@FEMA.dhs.gov. Here is the latest restoration update from the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. John?
On St. Croix, some customers on Feeder 4A in Sion Hill and Little Princess were restored, while on Feeder 5A, additional customers in Barron Spot, as well as businesses to the west of the Sunny Isle Shopping Center, to include the Social Security offices and the Board of Elections, were energized. On Feeder 8B in Frederickstead, customers on Hospital and King Cross Streets and on a portion of Prince Street were restored, as well as the Legislature Complex, the Wim Gardens Home for the Elderly, and the Marley Housing Community. Other restored customers on St. Croix include the Frederickstead Fire Services Building and several condo complexes, to include Ocean Terrace and Bay Garden. On Thursday, crews will work in the Beeston Hill area in Estate Rattan and from the Richmond Power Plant to the Home Depot on Melvin Evans Highway. On St. John, crews worked to reconstruct electrical circuits in the area of Glucksburg past the Saranusa development and from Calabash Boom to Coral Bay. Reconstruction crews continue to work on primary circuits that will provide service to customers in Coral Bay. On St. Thomas, crews planted several poles in Old Tutu and will continue to work this week reconstructing primary circuits ahead of restoring service to customers. Other crews prepared circuits on Feeder 7C for customer restoration in Anna's Retreat, Cookie Point, and Bovoni. Customers in the Subbase area on Feeder 10A were also restored on Wednesday, as well as a primary circuit on Feeder 8A extending from the Harley Power Plant to the area of the Janie Tuitt School campus. Crews planted 2 additional poles on the St. Thomas side of Feeder 5A, which are required before the submarine cable to energize Water Island can be brought online. On Thursday, crews are expected to energize circuits leading to the Mahogany Run condos on Feeder 9C.
Thanks, John. Stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Good evening. Hopefully you were able to enjoy your day. I know we've seen some downpours today, and unfortunately that's going to continue at least through the weekend. It's not going to rain all the time, but we are going to see frequent showers and downpours at times. So taking a look right now at what's going on, here's all this wet weather moving through the area. To the west, it's going to be even more wet than we're seeing. So Puerto Rico, they're seeing lots of rain, showers frequently, and also heavy downpours. Flash flood warnings in place for Puerto Rico. We're not expecting to see any flash flooding here in the Virgin Islands, but again, we could see some heavy downpours with some of these showers. So for tonight, a few showers expected. 78 degrees for the temperature. St. John, 84 tomorrow, so nice and warm, but it is going to be windy. And again, we should expect those showers to continue. St. Thomas, 84 degrees, windy and showers, and then St. Croix, 87 degrees, less wind here, but still we're going to see frequent showers and downpours. Could cause some isolated flooding at times. So the Atlantic coast, though, we aren't seeing any advisories in place for our marine forecast. Waves 1 to 3 feet and winds out of the south from 5 to 10 knots. The Caribbean side, a little bit more rough, 2 to 4 feet for our waves, and the winds out of the south from 5 to 10 knots, but no advisories to talk about. This pattern, it's going to be sticking around for quite some time. So through the weekend at least, you should expect frequent showers, and again, at times we could see some downpours. And then as Monday and Tuesday roll around, it's going to be less wet, but still more showers than we might typically see. Just not as many showers as we're seeing through the next couple of days. Temperatures staying in those mid-80s for our highs, and our lows hovering in those upper to mid-70s. Sandy, back to you.
Thanks for that. Time for our weather picture there by Jacoy Kadek, second grader, representing E. Benjamin Oliver Elementary School. That is a beautiful picture, Jacoy. Thank you for your submission, including lots of sunshine there. Send us your News2 weather picture to News2 via 4611 Tutu Park, Suite 300, St. Thomas, VI 00802. That's all for this edition. We'd like to thank you for joining us for all the latest. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Have a nice evening. We'll see you next time.